Hello, everyone. My name is Tahir Shimshek, and I'm pleased to welcome Ekrem Namazcı. Ekrem Namazcı works for Microsoft and is a data and AI lead. And today, with his session, he's going to present the topic of AI for good. And besides his activities for Microsoft, Ekrem has also similar goals to Tech Academy. So he wants to skill the people and help them to have a better understanding of the digitalization. We are very happy to have you here, Ekrem, and I'll just hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Tahir. It's my pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here. And I think a very exciting topic today, which is under the headline of AI for Good. My name is Ekrem. I'm with Microsoft, as mentioned earlier, and the co-founder of GDEXA, and since more than a decade in the area of data and AI. And today I would like to give you a different aspect of AI, not only from the technical point of view. Because I think as the opportunity is tremendous and huge in using AI and technology, the responsibility is equally important we need to tackle, right? So, and this is the main topic of my presentation today, because we have the technology available, right? So everyone, be it a professional coder or casual developer, can use GitHub and technologies or low-code platforms to immediately start developing, right? And to immediately also creating applications. And I think the main question here is, what kind of solutions we may develop, and how many people we can reach, and are we really reaching everyone for real, or are we just focusing on a certain people and excluding certain ones? So if you look into AI and the mystery about whether AI going to replace humans and robots will take over our jobs here, I think we need to demystify a little bit this theory in terms of AI is here to amplify human capability, right? So and we can easily extend and accelerate the human capabilities in terms of language, speech, image recognition, and all these kind of stuff. And I think AI can help us to perceive more information, to learn out of patterns and out of the past experiences, and also to make our decisions and our daily life easier, right? And that's why we need to really, make sure that we control AI and try to get the most out of this in amplifying human capability. And this is also the mission of Microsoft. And I have only 2 slides, which explains a little bit our approach and vision is like, we try to really make human parity in certain areas like speech recognition, where we achieved almost 95% of parity to humans, or language and translation. So I think this shows that our research and development and our learnings from humans are really helping back humans again. And not only from the research and development, we are also bringing out a lot of innovations out there in the open source community. And I think, whoever tried out a little bit AI and machine learning will be familiar with GPT-3, which is a great repository and library to really, kickstart your AI and ML applications. Had a huge library of pre-trained models and algorithms, which makes it quite easy to create your own AI supercomputer in no time. And also, this is the reason why we segmentize our cognitive services really very similar to the way humans think and interact, right? And we categorize this into those 5 areas where we are also building a lot of AI models underneath and really try to make it easy for humans to really create use cases which can impact the world, right? And I think we are all experiencing hard times through COVID. Just to give you a glimpse of what's possible using, for instance, image recognition, computer vision. Of course, there is a lot of controversial discussions about whether we should detect people's I mean, faces and the pathways and etc. But in this case, for instance, it makes highly sense under, of course, privacy regulations to really identify how many people are walking throughout my supermarket, for instance, or whether the people are keeping the social distancing here as well, right? And I think having these solutions in place literally saves lives, right? Because I mean, here suddenly we are able to detect people wearing a mask or not and bringing others into danger. And I think this is a great example that AI had the power of impacting people, saving lives, and creating a really lot of use cases which can really make use of many people here. But what are the barriers, right? And as Tahir mentioned, I mean, skilling is of course a very huge topic in terms of, I mean, there's a lack of trained and experienced people, right? So, and we need to do more in that area. And then we at Microsoft are doing a huge global skilling initiatives. And there's a lot of, I mean, NGOs and associations like Tech Conference, like GDEXA, and so on, who are doing a lot of skillings for students, for instance. But we need more, because the companies out there would like to scale further the usage of AI and software technology, which is not only for automation and for the use case I mentioned earlier, but also going into sales and marketing and HR and operations. So there are a lot of more use cases there where companies would like to scale further and make use of AI, but we need the people. And obviously, I mean, we need to create more transparency, right? So if we train models, the data needs to be really, I mean, very open and transparent in terms of the data which the AIs get trained from diverse enough? Are these including all people, all, I mean, genders, and all the kind of behaviors which are there, or is it kind of biased as humans, right? So that's why we need more intensity in terms of intensifying the technical capabilities. Here again, across all ages, from school kids to students to professionals and elderlies, throughout all, I mean, industry, there is a lot of tech intensity, I mean, happening right now. And I just brought some statistics with us in terms of the growth and the hirings of developers in different industries. And as you can see, even in agriculture, 65% more hirings for software developers, and it continues in almost all segments: consumer goods, energy. There's huge demand and huge hiring initiatives in terms of hiring software developers. And what strikes me personally a lot is the example of automotive, right? And where you can see that in automotive, even there's more software engineers being hired than mechanical engineers. And if you look at the visions and missions of a lot of, I mean, major automotive companies, they want to transform from being an automotive company into being a software company, right? So, and this is something which hopefully explains a little bit the opportunity and the possibilities we have with the use of technology and AI in particular. And again, I would like to change gears in terms of, okay, what are the responsibilities here? So if we all now hiring a lot of software engineers, if every company becomes a software company, we're going to start developing apps, right? But we should really take note of people who are, for example, disabled, right? I mean, we need to take care of, to include every human on earth, to make sure that they are able to use all these nice, fancy, useful apps here, right? So that's why we developed a methodology called inclusive design, which is a design methodology which is open, accessible for everyone. So my ask to you, I mean, my sincere ask is, if whenever you're going to start developing your own apps, I mean, look into the inclusive design principles and try to really make your tools and services accessible, like we are doing, for instance, with the Xbox Adaptive Controller, I mean, which was developed during a hackathon a couple of years back at Microsoft, which is great, including a lot of people with disabilities to play games, right? And we just recently, 2 weeks ago, launched also for the Surface laptops the adaptive package, adaptive kit, which also helps people having disabilities to get use and use the hardware devices even more. And that's why, I mean, we're going to finish this part with a quote saying inclusive design doesn't mean you are designing one thing for all people. It's the diversity and the diverse usage of the solution, whether it be it people with disabilities, be it on mobile, be it outside, at home, in a hybrid environment. So there are a lot of different ways of consuming these apps, and your apps should be really based on that. And just give you some examples of how inclusive design and accessibility and developing responsible solutions can look like. Please, let's load up the video here.
We have so many people who are non-verbal, but still have so much to say.
I want the exact same information that my hearing friends have.
There are barriers to communication everywhere, but I think it's time we look at the barriers as opportunities to reach out to everyone.
Soundscape fills in a lot of the mental map as you move.
Approach the intersection.
You can just put it in your pocket and go.
With ALS, you become locked in. But we see technology as a way to give back what ALS has taken away.
There's no better feeling than to hear a child say something that they've wanted to say and the look on their face after they've been able to say it.
When it's reading, I see spaces between the words, and it's easy to focus on.
Ajay realized that here was something that could change his life.
Now that I have my phone, I can see exactly what was said, and that's been a huge help to me.
The system is learning as it goes, and the accuracy has improved tremendously.
Students can pick any language that they choose to receive the information. It's like we jumped into the future.
Because communication is very important for all of us, and we just want to be together and not feel left out.
Les personnes avec autisme dans la communauté, il y a des images.
Je parle, je donne une information à Arthur et elle est traduite par l'application Picto instantanément en pictogramme et après d'une façon orale.
Va t'habiller et te brosser les dents.
On va pouvoir remettre en place une communication qui est plus spontanée. Je crois que ça aide à recréer du lien.
Both my wife and I are totally blind, and we have a 3-year-old son that's in preschool. He can see, but his parents can't. So to be able to know what's going on at his school is everything. The Seeing AI app has the ability to allow me access to the visual world. Artificial intelligence is beginning to have an impact on the lives of people with disabilities, but it's only going to grow. There is still so much out there to be done.
Yeah, and this is exactly where we are. We could just get started, and I think the main intention is here really to bring it to new ideas and areas where AI can really help and create an impact in the world. And this is a Microsoft program called AI for Good, which is a grant program supporting startups, NGOs, and a lot of initiatives to create apps and solutions categorized in these 5 pillars, where we are trying to really tackle the earth problems which humanity has these days, right? And these are the 4 pillars. I'm going quickly through them just to give an idea what's underneath. Obviously, agriculture, right? So I think we need to eat. We need to eat, and the demand of food is growing rapidly, right? So, and we need to help farmers to produce more and sustainable food, and to really have less impact from all the climate change happening, right? So, and this is something which is really important, helping farmers with the AI to predict better and to really tackle the different environments. The second, water. I think obviously we need water to survive, and in the next 2 decades, demand for fresh water for human consumption, for hygiene, is predicted to be very dramatically high, right? So that's why, fresh water becomes very important. And also here, AI can really, help for the supply and demand to conserve and protect fresh water. And biodiversity, I think, is something really very important in terms of species extinctions, right? So which means there's a lot of alarming happenings out there, and we need to save and keep our ecosystem running. And here again, I think to save our planet, to monitor, track, and trace a lot of development, biodiversity or AI in the area of biodiversity is really a game changer. And lastly, climate change. I think we are all experiencing this drastic extreme weather events, which also, leading to floodings or forest fires and so on, which is really alarming and alerting on a certain way. And here again, I think AI can really help to be more accurate in the climate projections in the future, and also, can really, assess the impact on communities. If you go down for accessibility, here again, of course, accessibility is there everywhere, right? So in daily life, in business, in communication. And here again, we try to, kind of focus a little bit more on these three areas in terms of making the employment, because there are 1 billion people with disabilities in the world, right? And these are really great talent pool, which are untouched, right? So we have a lot of initiatives together with Microsoft, with PwC and SAP and Accenture and many others for autism at work, for instance, right? So I think these kind of initiatives are great to really include this talent pool, include these people into the work life, into the business life, and giving them a lot of tools where they can really be part of the business society. And also in daily life, I think there are a lot of challenges here. I think here AI, and for example, we have also developed during the hackathon the app Seeing AI, where everyone can download this. I have it also on my phone, which is great, where you just need to hold your phone anywhere and it will give you the context about your surroundings, like saying, hey, there is a girl running across the street, there is 2 people sitting in the cafe drinking a cappuccino. So those kind of information for blind people, which is great. And I think this can also help to include people in the daily lives, and also for communication and connection to each other. I think many of you is using Microsoft Teams with the captions, with the recordings, with kind of transcripts, which are created automatically, where people can really automatically detect their voices and give all the information, which also helps people really to easier communicate with each other in the area of accessibility. So going through the other use cases, AI for humanitarian action is, I think, also very, very recent these days. Especially the refugees and disabled people, where we have a lot of apps around language and translation, about orientation, about really mapping people, or guiding people from areas which are under danger and threat to safety places. I think for human rights, we have a lot of collaboration with NGOs, which kind of helps monitor human rights abuses, right? So to track it immediately and send it to the entities. I think these are great kind of use cases for the children's. It is the safety and well-being of children in some areas are really under threat. These are really good examples where we have a lot of things to solve, a lot of problems to solve here. And here again, AI can really make the difference. AI for cultural heritage. I think this is a little bit, unfortunately, not that visible in the daily life, but I think very important, because we have so many celebrities, so many people who made a big impact in history. And I think we need to save their works and their kind of, contributions, right? And this is the area where we are really trying to, save all the artwork of really people. In terms of places, you may know the IoT digital twin approach, but here again, similarly, we can really preserve important monuments and important museums or any kind of cultural heritages here, and make it digital, make it accessible for many people. In terms of languages, we have a lot of languages which are not known, which are really for minorities or for rural places where it's spoken. And also these people have an issue to communicate with others. And that's why we are, increasing and enhancing our language and translation services here massively in order to also include all these kind of unknown languages around the world. And historical artifacts, I think this is something which is very obvious to really save and prevent all this, to make the archives, which are analog in many cases, digital, and make it accessible to many other people. And here as well, we are using a lot of HoloLens technology where you can really artificially go into a museum somewhere else or watch kind of any cultural heritage places just from the place where you are, and then getting a lot of real virtual reality type of content from everywhere where you are. Yeah, and finally, AI for health. I think we mentioned this already. There's a lot of research happening in this area. So we did, great progress in the AI prevention or AI-based, machine learning-based cancer detection and predictions and diagnosis. You may saw the HoloLens surgery app, which is kinds of, making a hologram from your patient and then to make it more accurate surgeries. We are also creating and helping or help through COVID to really collect all the data around the world in terms of getting insights and analytics for COVID and other disease. And also in terms of, equity, we are also supporting a lot of, startups, NGOs, and also medical corporations in order to really enhance technology and use technology for the better. And I think seeing is believing. Also here, I would like to give you a quick video which a little bit highlights all the aspects, because I just want to emphasize that all this are not vision. It's really for real and happening. And here are some examples from the real world.
Human rights situation often deteriorate very quickly, and the faster we can get information and we can react to the situation, it can be a real game changer.
New technologies are advancing so rapidly, and technology companies can advise us on how best to use those technologies to protect and promote human rights.
Objective is automatic damage mapping, because after the disaster, the government needed a damage map to carry out the effective rescue. If we can save the time to grasp the ground damage information, we are able to save a lot of life and facilities.
In a new partnership with the World Bank, United Nations, and tech industry partners, we'll be better able to predict when and where famine will occur.
Operation Smiley's vision really syncs in with what I feel is a fundamental human right.
What the volunteers do for the children may seem like a small thing, but they're able to change the lives of the families forever.
We're creating a chatbot-based experience for refugees coming out of the Syria conflict. The purpose is to have displaced youth find a way to discover and access learning materials so you can engage directly with the course content.
It's just the beginning of the impact that we hope to have with the tools at our disposal.
Yeah, I hope this also gave a little bit more tangible and fantasy how this could really look like in real. And of course, the umbrella of all these opportunities and all these kind of responsible development comes with responsible AI and trusted AI. Also here, I think it's very important to highlight that all these developments are really under the umbrella of ethical AI principles we are following at Microsoft, and also bringing out the best practice to all other partners here. Having this fixed approaches and concepts of this ethical area. So I think this should be not underestimated, because everything which is developed for the humans should be really trusted, fair, and responsible. And with this, hope you like the session and get inspired a little bit. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much for the session, Ekrem. It was really insightful, and I think that it is great to see the various endeavors of Microsoft to use AI for good and how Microsoft is showing responsibility, especially if you think about the tech conference topic. With big data comes big responsibility, and you can see how Microsoft uses its power for good. So one question flew in. In the video, it was said we have just started. So what progress and measurable impact do you expect to observe in 5 or 10 years?
Oh, very good question. And of course, I mean, glass bowl prediction, looking into the future, a little bit difficult, but I think what we expect is, I mean, through the low code in initiatives, where we are setting down the barrier of software development and make it more mature, we call it citizen developers. I think we will even see a lot of use cases and apps coming its way, right? So which means, I mean, in 10 years time, I think there will be no job and no task existing in the world without AI and technology.
Yeah.
But I think for this big move and trend, we should be prepared and equip ourselves with the right skills and the right capabilities, actually.
I think also that many like redundant tasks will be not there anymore. If you look at like tools like for example Power Automate and some things like that, they will improve in future, and then most of the tasks that are annoying will be gone, and you can just focus on the exciting things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is really the evolution, right? So we're going to start with automation first, all the repetitive tasks, and then the innovation comes next.
Yeah, that's true. So a question from my side: what is your background, and why is a diverse and inclusive background so important for you?
Oh, I mean, I think the diversity aspect, it's quite important, just because of the fact that if we're going to train the AI, it needs to be diverse in terms of containing people of color, people of all genders, different languages, mental issues, disabilities, and all these kind of aspects. So that's why having this diverse mindset always gives you the viewpoint of, hey, do we have enough data from multiculturals about, I mean, people who are not able to speak English or disabled people? So all these kind of aspects helping. But this is not necessarily, I mean, your personal thing you need to bring. You can also create this multicultural, diverse background and mindset as well. And just to give an example, I mean, 10 years ago, or until 10 years ago, the dummy test in cars were like, there were only male dummies with 1/680 centimeters of size. So females were completely not there, right? So which explains the high rate of injuries for female in car accidents, because they've not been tested, right? So because most of the engineers are male, and they are testing and creating all the information just based on their point of view.
Yeah.
Right? This diverse, I mean, a mindset gives you these kind of aspects, which includes then almost everyone in society.
Yeah, great answer. Thank you for that. Besides that, there would be one last question, and then I would thank you for the great session. You are an expert in education. Like set aside the Microsoft and AI for good the topic. You are an expert for digital education. How do you think the future in education will look like, and what can we do to accelerate the development?
Well, see, the future of education will be very business-oriented and practical-driven, right? So just to make it really short, I mean, shift into soft skills, right? Shift into storytelling rather coding. Shift into industry and business knowledge rather, I mean, programming languages, right? So you need to have both. But I mean, the more mature digital technology are and programming and technology becomes, the more demanding is, how can I use this technology, right? So if you educate yourself, then always try to apply your hard skills and your knowledge and capabilities into an actual use case. Find people around you, create a global team. I mean, now these days, everyone is using Zoom, Google Meets, Teams, or whatever. You can easily set up a global team, understand also the different aspects, and apply what you're learning. So rather than degrees, certificates, language skills, hard skills, all these kind of soft skills become more mature and more important in the future. And this is, I think, a big shift in education. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the future in education. So thank you very much. Thank you also for the attendees. We had over 60 plus attendees tuning in and listening to you. Thank you for the great session and for being with us at our tech conference. And we are looking forward for future cooperations, hopefully. Absolutely. Same here. Thank you very much for having me. Bye. Bye.